the things that were concerning to me and that I wanted to articulate in 2020 seem even more relevant and more urgent to me now. And that has to do with the fact that we don't have a thriving middle class anymore. We've had a $50 trillion transfer of wealth from the bottom 90% to the top 1% over the last 50 years. And it has left us in a situation where 39% of Americans report skipping meals on a regular basis in order to pay their rent. Half of American renters cannot afford that rent. It's often said that America is too expensive for Americans. A majority of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. A majority of Americans could not afford to absorb a $500 unexpected expenditure. 70% of Americans say they live with chronic economic stress. 1 in 4 Americans live with medical debt. Over 1 million Americans ration their insulin. This is not normal for an advanced democracy. And you would not find that level of chronic despair on an economic level within any other advanced democracy.
I agree with you.
And the reason our situation is the way it is because there is a matrix of corporate tyranny. And it's time, everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. I'm not saying when I say what I just said to you, and I say this when I say it to audiences, I didn't tell you anything you don't already know. But the system, the political system, so gaslights us and has so trained us to expect so little and has so trained us to sort of farm out our best thinking that even though you and I talk about this, everybody we know talk about it, it's not within the mainstream political conversation to not only name it for what it is, but for enough Americans to say, hell no. Now, when I was growing up, more than not, the Democratic Party was the conduit for saying hell no. Today, the corporate elite that runs the Democratic Party is what the Republicans were when I was growing up. And that's why when you and I first talked today, you talked about going independent. So many people are, because it's not an accident why it's called the corporate duopoly. Because both major political parties, one much worse than the other, the Republicans much worse, but to say that you're better than the Republicans today is a very low bar. So that's why Americans who really recognize that the economic injustice that is now it's entrenched within the way America works, corporate profits, profit maximization, short-term profit maximization for huge corporate entities, insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies, big food companies, big chemical companies, big agricultural companies, big gun manufacturers, big oil, defense contractors, their profits come first. Their profits come first. And then whatever's left, good luck to you.
Absolutely.
And even the corporate Democrats are saying, we'd like to help you so that it's not so difficult for you to survive this unjust system. My message is, why don't we end the injustice?